This is the Operations Improvement Project for Global Operations Management, Fall 2015. My name is Drew Kagi. Starting with a little background, I work at the University of Arkansas for Medical Sciences, commonly known as UAMS. I work in the Staff Education Department as a certified trainer. My main responsibilities include training and supporting of EPIC, which is our EMR, our electronic medical record system. I also update and maintain all of our educational materials and facilitate the continued education of all of our end users. My operations improvement project focuses on SharePoint, which is our data storage server. Any authorized UAMS employees can access SharePoint, any documents that you're authorized to look at anywhere at home or at work. Documents are checked out by users. During that time, other users can only view previously saved content, so only one person can edit documents at a time, and then it can be checked in, at which time anyone can see the updated version. So managing files on SharePoint is somewhat difficult. It doesn't allow for drag and drop and other functionality that you would see on most computers. After several years, it's become highly cluttered with duplicated documents, outdated materials, and just a lack of any filing system. Some of the problems that have been caused by that are reduced workflows, misplaced documents, delays in updating and communicating classroom materials, and difficulty onboarding new trainers. With that in mind, my proposal is an improvement to our SharePoint site, which I will accomplish by minimizing and eliminating unused documents, organizing files with an efficient filing system, and establishing naming conventions which will make it easier to navigate through the site. And my expected results are an efficient access to all of our files, which means less wasted time, and more time for updating and maintaining materials. We will also have a greater quality of training and user support, and finally an improved onboarding of new instructors. Beginning by looking at the current state of our SharePoint server, here we see the top project folder just has way too many folders. It has 22 in all. It's like looking at a website with too many options. It's difficult to navigate and find what you're looking for. There's also documents inside of these folders that haven't been used since 2013, just clogging up the whole server. And we also have folders that are not in the right location. As you can see here, we've got two folders that should be in our lesson plans folder, but are here in the top project document. So if I'm looking for a handout for a lesson plan, it should be in that lesson plan and not out here in our top project folder. In addition to our top project folder, we're going to be looking at several other of our commonly used folders, including our classroom materials. We're going to look at one of our courses, which is Referrals 200, and we'll look at another one of our main folders, Quick Start Guides. All in all, right now they have a total of 69 files and subfolders. Starting with our classroom materials, we can see that it is also overrun with excess documents. This one also has 22. Some of these classes are not even trained anymore. You can see that some of them are outdated. We also have files that belong in subfolders. So some of the main issues that we saw on our top project folder. Now let's look at our Referrals 200 class. Here you can see the Referrals 200 class folder as it is in its current state. And now let's look at it after we've made a few changes. So right off the bat, you can see at the top we have an archive folder, which allows us to archive, not delete, but archive some of our older documents that we don't use anymore. And that allows for them to always be there in case we need to look at them again. We've also created a handouts subfolder, which allows us to consolidate some of those files. So if we're looking for handouts, we'll know where they're at. All in all, we've reduced our number of documents from 14 down to 10. And we've also, if you want to look at some of our other classes in comparison, if we do the same with each one of these classes, and also start naming them the same, give each class, each document in the class the same names, you can see how it would be easier to navigate through these courses. If you're looking for a workbook or a tent card or a skills checklist, they're all going to have the same naming conventions in each folder, which makes it easier to navigate, especially for new users. Jumping up one level back to our classroom materials folder, we'll use the same archiving technique, get rid of some of our older classes that we just don't train anymore. Again, they'll be archived where we can reference them if we ever need to, but they won't be in the way of our day-to-day workflow. So this will reduce the number of documents from 22 to 14. You can also see down at the bottom our Welcome Kiosk class. This actually isn't a class. This is a quick start guide. This found itself in the wrong folder due to a lack of a proper filing system. So we're going to jump over to our quick start guide folder, where we have placed it into a folder and renamed it from Welcome Kiosk just to Kiosk, making it easier to find for anyone looking for that Kiosk Quick Start Guide. You'll notice over on the left our current state. We've got floating documents everywhere. On the right, we've put everything into folders, making it easier to navigate. We've also been able to consolidate some of those floating documents into the folders, into the categories where they belong. You'll also notice that we've renamed a number of them just to make it easier for anyone looking for the documents inside of this folder. And we've been able to reduce the number of documents from 11 to 8. Finally, jumping back to our top project folder, we've addressed some of the same issues that we looked at before. For instance, our assessments and handouts, we've moved into our lesson plans folder, which we've renamed to our classroom materials. We've also renamed some of our other folders just to make it more transparent what is inside of each folder. And by archiving and renaming and consolidating these documents, we've been able to eliminate about 12 documents from this folder. Out of the 4 main folders that we looked at today, we were able to reduce the number of folders and documents from 69 down to 42. That's about a 40% reduction in documents. So what does that do? That allows for new users to onboard easier. There's not a lot of older documents out there making it difficult to navigate through the site. And it also makes it less likely that we will misplace documents or be confused by older documents that are named with similar names as the ones that we're using right now. Finally, we have added paths and file names to each one of our documents. As you'll see at the bottom of this tip sheet, this is a published document online, which is actually housed on a different server than our classroom materials. Once we edit it on our site, it's taken onto a different server where it will be made public to anyone at UAMS who needs this tip sheet. Sometimes our file names can be renamed once they go into the public server. So adding these paths and file names at the bottom of each document will help us keep those consistent from our server to the next and finally on to the published material on the web. So some of the obstacles for implementing this proposal are of course the time requirements. It took about 20 hours to update our server. It also took some management support. We had to convince them that spending this much time was actually going to help out with our functionality and our workflow. Some of the other obstacles also included the functionality of SharePoint itself. It didn't allow for dragging and dropping. We actually had to download and re-upload a lot of our documents if they were in the wrong file. And any of the documents that were checked out by other users couldn't be organized at that time, so we had to coordinate with those users to update them and to get those into the right folder when they weren't being used. We also had to agree as a team on what our new system would look like, what the filing structure would be, what some of the naming conventions would be. We were able to implement this on just one of our team's document servers. We have about 18 Epic teams, so you can just imagine what kind of a result this would be, how much time this would save over 18 different teams. And just as a recap, some of our results include nearly a 40% reduction in unused documents, which means less confusion among team members and improved efficiency. We also have more time to maintain those educational materials instead of looking for the right documents and trying to find where they are on the server. And then because we're able to maintain those documents better, that means that our training environment is going to be improved, not only for the users but also for the instructors who are training the material. And finally, better onboarding experience for our new trainers. and less confusion when they're learning the system. In conclusion, the long-term benefits of an efficient file server significantly outweighs the cost and effort required to organize the current system. Some of the feedback received from my mentor is that she thought that the site is much friendlier now that we've cleaned it up and much easier to use, especially for our new CT certified trainer, that is, who recently came on board a few weeks ago. Once again, my name is Drew Kagi, and this has been my SharePoint Improvement Project. Thank you very much.